Before GPS and satellites mapped our world, there were roads, not of asphalt and steel, but of dust, stone, and ambition. Carved by foot, by wheel, and by empire, these ancient pathways were the arteries of civilization. Each stone laid, each trail worn into the earth, carried not just travelers, but the very story of humanity itself. Today, we journey back in time to walk 20 forgotten paths that shaped our world, from the dawn of trade to the rise and fall of great empires. Our journey begins in the misty hills of England, on a path older than the pyramids, older than Stonehenge itself. This is the Ridgeway. For over 7,000 years, this chalk track has followed the high, dry ground, a natural highway for Stone Age traders, Bronze Age chieftains, and Roman soldiers. Imagine walking here 530 years before Christ with nothing but the horizon as your guide. This wasn't just a path, it was a lifeline, connecting the first farming communities and carrying the earliest goods across the land. It is perhaps the oldest highway in Europe, a silent testament to our innate need to connect. From the quiet hills of Britain, we travel to the heart of a colossal empire. In the 5th century BC, the Persian king Darius the Great forged a road that would define imperial power, the Royal Road. Stretching an astonishing 2,700 kilometers from Sardis in the west to the capital Susa in the east. This was more than just a road, it was a system. Relay stations, stocked with fresh horses and riders, were placed every 20-30 kilometers. A message could cross the entire empire in just 7 days, a feat unheard of in the ancient world. This was the world's first postal service, an engine of control and communication that held a vast and diverse empire together. But if Persia built for speed, Rome built for eternity. All roads lead to Rome, the saying goes, and the queen of them all was the Via Appia, or the Appian Way. Constructed in 312 BC, it stretched over 500 kilometers from Rome to the port of Brindisi. This was engineering as art, meticulously layered with gravel, mortar, and perfectly fitted paving stones. It was built to last, and it did. Much of the Via Appia survives today, a 2,300-year-old marvel you can still walk upon. These roads were the skeleton of the Roman Empire, allowing legions to march, goods to flow, and Roman law to spread across 3 continents. Now, let's turn our gaze eastward to a name that evokes images of exotic adventure and untold riches: the Silk Road. It wasn't a single road, but a vast, sprawling network of caravan trails and sea lanes that connected China with the Mediterranean for over 1,500 years. More than just silk and spices traveled these routes. Technology, like papermaking and gunpowder, moved west. Philosophies and religions like Buddhism and Christianity spread east. But these roads also carried darker travelers. It was along these same trade routes that the Black Death journeyed from the steppes of Asia into Europe, a stark reminder of how connected the ancient world truly was. Long before silk, another precious material captivated the ancient world: amber. We follow the amber route, a network of paths that stretched from the cold shores of the Baltic Sea down to the warm Mediterranean. This fossilized tree resin, glowing like trapped sunlight, was considered a magical substance, a gold of the north. It was so prized that beads of Baltic amber were found among the treasures in Tutankhamun's tomb in Egypt. A journey of thousands of miles, passed from trader to trader, linking disparate cultures in a shared desire for beauty. In the dizzying heights of the Andes, another civilization built a road network that rivaled Rome's, but did so without the wheel, iron tools, or even a system of writing. This was the Capac Ñan, the Great Inca Road, a staggering 40,000-kilometer system of paved roads, rope bridges, and mountain stairways. It stitched together an empire that spanned from modern-day Colombia to Chile. It was a road for runners, the Chasqui, who could carry messages across the empire with incredible speed. For the Inca, this road was more than infrastructure. It was a sacred artery connecting the mountains, the people, and the gods. Let's journey to Africa, where the most valuable commodities were not silk or gems, but salt and gold. The trans-Saharan trade route was a brutal, unforgiving network of trails across the world's largest desert. For centuries, massive caravans, sometimes thousands of camels strong, would march for months. From the south came gold, ivory, and slaves. From the north came salt, a mineral so vital for preserving food that it was often traded for its weight in gold. Great empires like Mali and Ghana rose and fell on their control of this trade, their legendary wealth born from the sands of the Sahara. High in the Himalayas, another challenging route connected two great cultures. The Tea-Horse Road was a perilous network of paths winding through treacherous mountain passes between China's Yunnan province and Tibet. For over 1,000 years, Chinese merchants traded bricks of compressed tea for strong, sturdy Tibetan horses, essential for their armies. It was a trade of necessity, carried on the backs of human porters and mule trains, linking Buddhist monasteries and remote mountain villages in a unique exchange of culture and commerce. From the mountains, we sailed to the sea, following the fabled spice route. This was not a road of stone, but of wind and water, a maritime network stretching from the tiny Banda Islands in Indonesia, the world's only source of nutmeg and mace, all the way to the markets of Venice. Spices like cloves, cinnamon, and pepper were worth more than gold, driving exploration and conquest. The desire to control this lucrative trade fueled the Age of Discovery, pushing navigators like Columbus and Vasco da Gama to seek new routes, ultimately redrawing the map of the world and ushering in an era of global colonization. Back in Europe, during the Middle Ages, faith paved the roads. The Camino de Santiago, or the Way of St. James, is the most famous of a vast network of pilgrim roads that crisscross the continent. For over 1,000 years, millions of pilgrims have walked these paths to the shrine of St. James in Spain, seeking salvation, forgiveness, or adventure. Along the way, towns, monasteries, and markets sprang up to serve them, merging devotion with commerce. These sacred trails became conduits for ideas, art, and architecture, unifying a fragmented Europe under a common banner of faith. Let's dig deeper into history, to ancient Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization. Here, the King's Road of Babylon, dating back to the time of Hammurabi around 1800 BC, served as a vital artery. It wasn't just for merchants. This highway carried royal edicts, laws carved into stone steles, ensuring the king's commands reached the far corners of his empire. It was a tool of centralized power, a physical manifestation of law and order flowing from the capital. Even before the great empires, luxury goods traveled immense distances. In ancient China, thousands of years before the Silk Road, there was the Jade Road. Jade, a stone tougher than steel and revered for its beauty and spiritual properties, was mined in the remote mountains of Khotan and carried along treacherous mountain trails to central China. This trade, beginning as early as 4000 BC, created a bond between the nomadic cultures of the steppes and the agricultural societies of the river valleys, built on a shared reverence for this sacred stone. While Rome dominated the south, a different kind of highway existed in the north. The Viking trade routes were primarily riverways. From the 8th to the 11th centuries, these Norse seafarers sailed their longships not only across the open ocean, but deep into the heart of modern-day Russia and Ukraine via the Dnieper and Volga rivers. They connected Scandinavia to Byzantium and the Abbasid Caliphate, trading furs, honey, and slaves for Arabic silver and Byzantine silk, creating a northern superhighway of their own. In the arid deserts of the Arabian Peninsula, another fragrant commodity created a legendary road, the frankincense trail. This sacred incense, harvested from trees in modern-day Oman and Yemen, was a cornerstone of religious rituals across the ancient world. For over 2,000 years, camel caravans laden with this precious resin trekked north, supplying temples in Egypt, Babylon, Greece, and Rome. The immense wealth generated from this trade built powerful kingdoms in the desert, cities that flourished on the scent of the sacred. Our story of roads is also a story of technology. In the early Bronze Age, the copper road emerged. Traders sailed from the mines of Cyprus, carrying smelted copper ingots across the Mediterranean to Minoan Crete and Mycenaean Greece. This metal was revolutionary. When alloyed with tin, it created bronze, a material that transformed tools, agriculture, and, most critically, warfare. This route effectively sparked the first international arms trade, as kingdoms vied for the resources to equip their armies with superior bronze weapons and armor. Stretching 6,000 miles from Eastern Europe to Manchuria is the Great Eurasian Steppe, a vast grassland that was history's original wild superhighway. For millennia, this was the domain of nomads, Scythians, Huns, and Mongols. On horseback, they moved with incredible speed, creating empires that appeared seemingly out of nowhere. The steppe highway was not a built road, but a natural corridor that facilitated the movement of armies, cultures, and technologies, acting as a bridge, and sometimes a battleground, between the civilizations of Europe and Asia. In India, an ancient artery has pulsed with life for over 2,500 years, the Grand Trunk Road. First consolidated by the Mauryan Emperor Ashoka in the 3rd century BC, this great east-west road has been rebuilt and used by a succession of rulers, from the Mughals to the British Raj. It has been a route for pilgrims, armies, and merchants for millennia, and remarkably, its ancient path still forms the backbone of India's modern National Highway 19 today, a living link to the subcontinent's deep history. The masters of the Mediterranean Sea, the Phoenicians, built their empire not on land, but on water. Their sea roads were a web of trade routes connecting their home in modern-day Lebanon with colonies across North Africa, Spain, and possibly even the tin mines of Britain. They were legendary traders, known for their brilliant purple dye extracted from sea snails and their mastery of glassmaking. Their ships were the lifeblood of Mediterranean commerce for centuries, spreading their alphabet, the ancestor of our own, wherever they sailed. Going back even further to the dawn of organized trade, we find the Obsidian Road. In prehistoric Anatolia, around 9,000 years ago, communities near volcanic mountains controlled a vital resource, obsidian. This volcanic glass could be fractured to create incredibly sharp edges, making it the most prized material for tools and weapons before the age of metals. Archaeologists have traced obsidian from its source, showing how it was traded across hundreds of miles, creating one of the world's first specialized economies and long-distance trade networks. Finally, we return to where we began, with Rome. By 200 AD, the Roman road system was a continent-spanning web of over 400,000 kilometers of roads, 80,000 of which were paved. It was a system of such scale and precision that it knit together an empire from Britain to Iraq. These roads were the ultimate tool of Romanization, spreading language, culture, and power. They all led back to the golden milestone in the Roman Forum, the symbolic heart of the world. From a dusty track in the English countryside to the vast network of an empire, these roads were far more than just a way to get from one place to another. They were the threads that wove the tapestry of our shared past, carrying the dreams of traders, the edicts of kings, the faith of pilgrims, and the ideas that would change the world forever. They remind us that the story of civilization is, and always has been, a story of connection. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you found this exploration of our ancient world fascinating, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more stories etched in stone and time. We'll see you on the next road.